Hey. Thank you for spending some of your lunchtime with me today. I'm Rashonda Pratt, known in the digital streets as the Rose Show Live, and I'm really excited about today's topic and discussion because we're talking to you about how to build a well-dressed brand. Did you know, friends, that your wardrobe is a business strategy? Your wardrobe, how you show up is a business strategy. So I'm really excited to talk to our guest today, my friend, and she'll soon become your friend as well, Toi Sweeney. So as you are coming in, we're streaming across 3 platforms today. We are live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook friends. We are live on LinkedIn. Hey there, LinkedIn family. Make sure that you tap in and say hello to us. And we're also live on Visibility is Power TV right on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in and joining us. Thank you so much for being here. As you come in, listen, we believe sharing is caring. So go ahead, tag another business bestie, tag another person into this conversation that you know can be beneficial for them. Because one of the things that I've learned in my 6 or 7 years here being in the digital streets, that how you show up is really important. Now, you guys may be familiar with me. I am known as the First Lady of Visibility. I'm a video visibility coach and producer, empowering brands to build a brand with video so they can be seen, heard, and paid. And one of the things that I've learned in my journey of being seen, heard, and paid is this, ladies and gentlemen: people want to have something to look at. There it is. It's nothing deep. They want something to look at. I can't begin to tell you how many times, especially on TikTok, how many times people have said, oh my gosh, I stopped my scroll because I love your frames. I stopped what I was doing because I loved your lip color, or I love your eyeglasses, your hair, etc., etc. All of these things, these aesthetics things, these things are part of your wardrobe. These are things that help people to identify you. So again, I'm really excited for this conversation. So if you're a speaker, coach, consultant, listen, do me a favor and go ahead and share this with other speakers, coaches, and consultants, because we have to understand the power of a well-dressed brand. So let's bring in our guest. Our guest today is Toi Sweeney. She has 20 years experience rather in creating a look and a presence with passion and prestige. Doesn't that sound fancy? Toi provides creative brand strategy, visual storytelling, and strategic style direction for brands and influencers. She is a dear friend of mine, and she's absolutely amazing. And it's my honor to bring up someone I know that you're going to love to the stage, Toi Sweeney. You guys throw up some emojis and welcome her. Hey, friend.
Hi, how are you?
So glad that you are here. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Look, God is good. I have no complaints
Good. I'm,
whatsoever.
I'm glad that you are here. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Thank you so much. And I'm seeing we got some people who are popping in. You guys, thanks for spending your lunchtime with us. So, Toi, let's get right into this
Let's go.
because you have a depth of experience. I just gave like a mini broad stroke of your background. But, lady, you've been styling with the best of them, styling and profiling. Let's put it like that, with the best of them. And so tell people a little bit more about how have you discovered that your wardrobe is a brand strategy?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And I love that question because, nothing happens overnight, right? Even the overnight successes have been doing it for 15, 20 years. And so I started my career, in traditional retail in many leadership roles for a company like Bloomingdale's in New York City, Ralph Lauren, Tribe Korean Evelyn, White House Black Market, all of these companies. And so I had a foot in the door, just kind of learning how they did things, listening to customers, all those different types of customers at every level, every walk of life, and just constantly over years, just taking mental notes, looking at how they did visual displays, looking at the people who had old money versus new money versus no money. How are they putting themselves together? How are people responding to them? And
Mm.
then finally, I was a little bit burned out over just traditional retail. I wanted to try something different. Went back to school for fashion design, started working at QVC, the world's largest, shopping television show in the world. Spent 16 years there cutting my teeth on answering the question, if you wear a certain color, if you wear a certain look, does that impact the bottom line? And so when you think about all of these things and realize that in 1997, when Tom Peters coined the phrase personal branding, right? It
Hmm.
was a battle cry for all of us to think of ourselves as the large corporations do. He was like, I'm telling you, it's coming. You have to be me incorporated. And so borrowing those things, the way that Apple used colors, coming out with all these white products. And, we'll talk a little bit about that later, but like just all these different things that I was kind of putting into my basket.
Hmm.
And I just woke up one day and I was like, I was on a podcast actually, and my friend Ryan wrote and said, you should write a book about these things. And I said, I think I will. And so I started writing the secrets of a well-dressed brand. And so what I did was I took all of these things over my decades of retail and fashion, working with multiple television stations and clients. I took everything that I've learned. I did not hide anything from anyone. I dumped it all into my current book, Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand. And that was really how it was born. And so it's like, what does it mean to be a well-dressed brand? That was the first question that I needed to answer. And it was like really about being unapologetically yourself, because just as you said, people just become attracted to that. And you just have
Right.
to unlearn all of these rules that we've all learned. So that's the long version of that answer. But it was really about a combination of just seeing how different people, men and women, are moving through the world and how their image had an impact on them and how you can use it to really control the narrative.
You've had such a wealth of experiences. And I know you have a lot of stories, but you brought up a question that I want the answer to. Do certain colors impact your brand?
Oh my word. I mean, think about your favorite movie, right? Think about,
Okay.
there's always that one thing that oh gosh, this movie just came into my head that it'll come back to me, but I remember there was like I can't, it's a long word. I can't think of it. It'll come back to me. But when you think about your favorite movie, like Olivia Newton-John just passed away this year, and I
Yeah.
think about Grease, right? And I grew up on that. It was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And still to this day, it is not lost on anyone when you get to know me that I'm going to show up usually in all black with a red lip. And so when I think about over my years, right, the black and that red, my favorite designer is Valentino, again, going back to the red. So yeah, these colors mean something. It's all about controlling the narrative. I still remember, the first time that I saw Black Panther, and then that scene where they're all up on the hill and you see all the colors. It evoked an emotion. So
Mhm.
color is the only thing that really evokes an emotion from you. There's a stat that I talk about in my book too, from Yellow Duck Marketing, that says people are 90% more likely to remember the color that you're wearing compared to anything else. And 60 to 80% choose the product that they buy based on color. And so do
So
you
true.
really think that if you walk into a room, wearing a magenta, colored outfit, like maybe you pop on some yellow shoes or something like that, or red or something, that you're going to be the one that's remembered, you're
Yes.
going to be the one. So my question is always, what do you want to say? And then you walk in, you're going, okay, like I was just came back from my sister's wedding. It took
Mhm.
me forever to find something to wear. And then as I thought about what I wanted to say, I had to think about the fact that I was seeing, family and friends that I hadn't seen in a really long time. It's my sister's day. It wasn't about me. So I didn't want to come in something bold and, colors. And, for me, I didn't want to do that. I
Right.
really wanted to quietly be a part of her day, but I also wanted to be comfortable, which is not usually a word that I associate with myself. Fashion before comfort. I wanted to be comfortable. And so I decided on a simple black dress, my signature red lip, and gold accessories. So, yes, color is important because it's the only way that you could really incite something that's very powerful. You get to control the way the other person feels, right? My
Mm-hmm.
influence says people won't remember what you do, they only remember how you make them feel. And so yes, color is very important in that perspective.
I want to pull out a question that you just said, and I think is so key when it comes to your presentation, whether you are doing a TV interview, a podcast interview, or if you are creating video content, right? You asked this question about what do I want to say? And it's not just what do I want to say coming out of my mouth, but what do I want my clothing to say? That
Yeah,
is such a powerful question to ask. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen anything that I've done, it's a question I've learned to ask myself, because what Toy said about your clothes and colors evoking emotion and leaving a lasting impression, I have found that to be true. I have found that people remember that I love the color yellow because they've told me they somewhere in your picture, Rashonda, we're gonna see yellow. We're gonna see a shade of yellow. We're gonna see yellow hint somewhere. I mean, listen, I have on these frosted white nails, but guess what? There's yellow. So it's going to be somewhere. What is your signature piece? And so, Toy, do you believe that all of us, as we are creating this personal brand, Me Inc., should have something that's our own signature style?
absolutely. And so really fast now, I want to say this. So when you think about the color yellow, right? So the
Yes.
color yellow is really about originality. That makes complete sense for who you are.
I
It's
didn't know
about
that.
it's about intellect. That makes sense for who you are. Happiness. That makes sense for who you are. When you wear yellow, you're telling the world that you are confident and optimistic. And so that's why that makes sense. And so when you go talk about what you want to say, that is what you want to say, and that is what you're saying. And so that's how you come up with something that makes complete sense to you. I apologize. What was the question again?
Well, let's go there because now I'm like happy. I love that because I've always known yellow to speak to confidence, but also it means like friendship. But when you talked about those other pieces, I think that's really great. Is that in your book, Toy?
Yeah, so in my book, I go through as many colors as I can cover that all make sense. And so it's The Secrets of a Well Dressed Brand. You can get it wherever books are sold. And there is a whole color key. And the way that I approach it is that when you're trying to figure out what do I want to say, then you can look at the color key and say, okay, maybe these are, and I like these colors, of course, then that makes sense for me. My brand colors are red, black, and white. And so red is the color of determination, black is the color of elegance, white is the color of like, hey, try something new. And so it makes sense that for me, those would be my brand colors. So I just wanted to point that out when you were talking about yellow, because I was like, that makes perfect sense to who you are
I
and
love
what you
this.
want to say.
I love this. And guys, this is why it's so important about picking the key colors. And when you talked about white meaning innovation, no wonder that every time you buy an Apple product, it's in a white box.
Yeah. If you think about it for a second, for those of you who are old enough to remember that sea of black headphones that all of us grew up with, right? It
Yes.
was not really, then they started maybe with some funky colors. But when you really think about the first time that you purchased an Apple product, right?
Mhm.
The box was sleek and it was white. And then you pulled out the packaging and everything in it was sleek and white. And so it makes sense that their slogan was Think Different, because it's about newness, it's about hope. When you look at even the political, not that you're picking a side, but just think about when Hillary was running and that
Mhm.
Kamala in those white suits, try something new, lean in my direction. You know, it's it's a secret, you guys. It's a secret that television uses, that
For sure.
marketing. It really is a business strategy. It's a life hack, if you will.
Mhm.
You know,
And we're giving you guys the tools here to do this. Definitely, Tori's going to talk more about how you can get her book. But we're giving you these secrets because we want you to be successful. And we want you, especially if you're growing a personal brand, not to treat it haphazardly. So, the question I was asking about is creating a signature style. If
yeah,
we are into personal branding and as a business, whether you're a coach, consultant, speaker, founder, CEO, author, you should be creating a signature style. Okay. So that's what I say. I'd love to know from you, Toy. Do you believe you should have a signature style? And how do you discover what your signature style is?
Well, absolutely, you have to have a signature style. Now, for the reasons that you named, but here are some reasons that you really should have a signature style that a lot of people don't talk about. Number
Hmm.
one, most of us are really, really busy. And so once you kind of create your signature style and you set up what I called a branded closet, then you're going to cut back on decision fatigue because there's one less thing that you have to worry about because you know that you can go to your closet, you can put on something, it's going to fit, it's going to make sense to who you are, it's going to make sense for who you want to be, it's going to make sense to what you're trying to say. And so the second thing is that it's going to cut back on you just willy-nilly going out and buying something that you're not sure really works or says what you wanted to say. Think about that. The
Hmm.
worst, like I have this thing coming up, I need to go buy an outfit. And then you're like
Right.
1,000 packages in at your doorstep or going into a little boutique or a mall or whatever. And it's just a waste of time and money. Who has that kind of time? But when you know what your signature style is,
Hmm.
and you've worked diligently on that, then you're like, okay, I'm going to go into this website. I love a good blouse. Right now, I'm having a feather moment. So I'm going to go over there. I'm so obsessed with feathers right now. Yeah, like obsessed. And, so it's like, okay, I know that I want to go and do these things. And so you're cutting back on decision fatigue. You're going to be able to, again, save money. Now, how do you
Hmm.
figure out what your signature style is? There is 1,000 ways online. You can do all
Yes.
kinds of like style tests. If you decide to pick up my book, there is also a style test in The Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand. Um, you can take it. It's right at the back of the book. You can just turn to it, and you can circle. You can just go in and take the style test. I honestly wanted to make sure that you guys didn't have to want for anything. So
I
there.
love it.
That was weird. Okay, there's a complete style quiz in the book. So you go through and it's going to tell you if you're innovative, if it's powerful, if it's classic, do you like separates? Do you prefer to be a little bit more ladylike? And then I encourage you to take the top two, and that's kind of your style. Look at the third, because that could be a superpower if you decide to build that up. But look at your top two, you know, um,
Mm.
outcomes. Mine is polished and powerful. So what that means, Rashonda, is that I like classic hemlines. So look at what I have on. It's very simple, nothing crazy.
Yes.
But there's always going to be a little drama. So I got like a little texture and puff sleeve going on. I wore a simple black dress again to my sister's wedding, but it had a dramatic A-line. One side hit the floor, one side was at the top of my knee. So there's always going to be something very classic and very powerful.
This is like life changing, you guys. When I started in the online digital space, I'm like, where was Toy? Because I look back at some of my fashion choices and I'm just like, yeah, we'll not do that again, right? Live and learn. And I have had people ask me, Toy, Shonda, you always look so put together every time we see you at an event, every time we see you in pictures. Well,
Mhm.
I invested in that, right? So
Yeah.
I want to invite you, if this is resonating with you, or you need some style direction, and you know that your wardrobe really is a business strategy, I want to invite you to pick up a copy of Toy's book. Toy, hold up the cover of your book again. I want to invite you to pick up this book because it has everything in it. She talked about the colors. She talked about finding your signature style, secrets of a well-dressed brand. You can go and get that as well. And of course, we have put up our information to her website as well. Toy, I can hear someone saying, ladies, this looks great. This sounds great. I hear what you're saying. Maybe some guys are like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But how truly important is my wardrobe? How can we say that your wardrobe is a business strategy? Really?
Well, I think that, at the end of the day, it really comes down to a couple of things. Number one,
Mm,
your perceived value.
mm,
Because I love when you talk about your visibility and making money. And so so many of us have been underworked, overworked and underpaid, right?
yeah.
And so when you walk into a room, you need to show up and shut it all the way down. So there is no question that you are worth what you're being asked. Now, obviously, you need to move through the world in a mode of excellence. That's why there's a sign behind me that says you must be afraid of mediocrity, because we didn't wake up to be mediocre. That's not how God created us. So there's that.
Amen.
But when it comes to an actual strategy, again, think about it's giving you the power to control the narrative. That's the
Mhm.
third thing. Fourthly, there's a study that I talk about in the book, and it's called like cloth ignition or something like that. And I go into great detail, but it's the psychology behind it. And so, what
Mhm.
you wear can really incite something very powerful within you, or it could hinder you. Because what happens is that we give the clothing meaning. So, in the book, I talk about the study that they do with this white lab coat. And they break people up into like three categories. The first group, they're like, this group is going to wear their street clothes. For the first group, we just want you to put it on. And then they made them go through a series of tests. Well, the people that were wearing the lab coat that they thought were a doctor's coat made
Mhm.
less mistakes, and they were able to focus because they told themselves that they were doctors and they had a very important job to do. And so when they moved into the second group, they were like, okay, they told them that it was an artist's coat. Again, everybody else is in their street clothes. When they ran the test again, they made a lot more mistakes than the people that thought that they were doctors. It's the
Mm.
same coat, you guys. They didn't change it. It's just a
Wow.
white lab coat. They're like, you're a doctor, your job's important, and you're an artist. So however you take that to mean, right? And we've
Mhm.
all looked at someone and judged them in 8 seconds today, you guys. They're powerful, they're not powerful, they're this, they're that. That's the world that we live in. So the third group, they said, okay, we just want you guys to look at the lab coat. And so what they discovered again was it was the meaning that each person was giving. So think about it. Get up every morning, you're choosing something, you are putting on your power. You are putting on your confidence. You are putting on whatever it is that you truly believe about yourself or that you want to believe about yourself. And so think about that for a moment, that maybe you wake up. I was on a podcast and I had someone DM me, and this is the most beautiful story. She was a teacher, she struggled with depression, and we were talking about the color red on this podcast and why I wear red lipstick.
Mhm.
And so she said, I was having a bad day. I couldn't get out of bed. I was struggling. I get into the car. This episode of this specific podcast happened to be on. I listened to what you said. I got out of the car. I went back in the house, splashed some cold water on my face, put my red lipstick on, not a stitch of makeup otherwise, right? This is
Mhm.
a strategy. She was like, I need to pull myself out of this funk. She goes into work that day and proceeds to get so many compliments. You look so beautiful. I love that color. I love that red lip. And it was just what she needed today. It was just that minimum pickup, that she needed for that day. And when I talk to other therapists that I've had on my show and podcast, they talk about using a strategy like this for their clients, that get a new haircut, invest, as you were saying, start dressing up a little bit more, because it's the only thing, Rashonda, that works in the inside and on the outside simultaneously.
Powerful. You guys know here on Visibility is Power TV, we talk a lot about the inner work, and visibility is power, but it starts as an inside job. So
Yes.
I'm all about this conversation. I love the fact that you said that you're putting on your power, because I have learned, especially during the pandemic, I had found myself those days during the pandemic coming downstairs, getting ready to live stream, work on client material. We were really busy during the pandemic. And I found myself, Toy, coming downstairs half dressed, professional at the top, party at the bottom, right?
All of us.
And all right, all of us. Until one day I was really arrested by that thought. And I said, Rashonda, don't show up halfway today. So I
Mm,
remember getting fully dressed. I'm talking about
absolutely.
lashes. I had,
Gorgeous.
like, I was going to, and I was actually going to do a talk later that day. I even put on heels. I come downstairs and my husband says to me, he says, are you leaving the house today? You're going somewhere? And I said, no, just going to the office. And he said, so you're staying home today? I said, I am. I said, but I don't want to look like I'm staying home.
Mm,
Somebody catch that. I don't want to look like I'm staying at home. So I walked around all day with my heels on.
Mhm.
Because I think there's something powerful, as you said, about you're putting on your power. There's something powerful about when you show up, and it helps to aid in your confidence. It helps to
Mhm.
aid in how people see you, how you see yourself, right? Because wardrobe is powerful, and not for those vain, superficial reasons, but there's something that happens. It almost feels like, for me, I don't know about you, Toy, but for me, it really does feel like I'm putting on my power suit.
Mhm.
I'm putting on my
Absolutely.
visibility is power cape.
Absolutely. Because it really, really is. And that's why I love so much and believe so much in what you do. And as I said to you before, our platforms are the perfect marriage. They
Yes,
really, really are. And I just attack this from a psychological perspective because fashion in the world can seem so frivolous. But really, if you're looking at your calendar and saying, who am I meeting with today? What Zoom calls do I have? What do I want that person to think and feel? It's all about you creating a moment, like a memory.
yes,
What's the word I'm looking for? I had it in my head and then it just went. But evoking an emotion, you know what I'm saying? And so for those of you who loves cars, watches, shoes, when you see your dream car, that favorite, the favorite pair of shoes that you finally got in your closet, and all those frivolous things, but think about it. When you first laid your eyes on it, it evoked an emotion, you
yes,
know, for your partner, the first time that you started spending time with that person. When our kids walk through the door home from school and you're like, hi, how is your dad? You're evoking an emotion and you're giving
yes.
it an experience. That's the word I was looking for. You want to be an experience
Love it.
around every turn. You want to be an experience. That's it.
Um, that is more than enough because you guys see me. I'm taking notes over here because this is so good, so good. Because I had to develop this mindset because I was the girl Toy who would go to the airport and I got on like jeans and a t-shirt, scrubby, because I'm like, it's a flight. Who cares? And my stylist that I work with, who you would absolutely love, Son Sarah. She says, I mean, her name is Son Sarah. Like, does that
Yeah,
not sound fancy and fabulous?
start
And
there.
right. And she told me, she said, you will stop that. And I said, stop what? She said, you don't know who's going to be at this airport. And so I took her up on a challenge. She says, your next trip, I want you to zhuzh it up. And so I did. Oh my gosh. I had people who were just walking in the airport coming up to me and say, oh my gosh, I love your shoes. Where are you headed to? What do you do? The
Mhm.
stewardess was like giving me upgrades, all
Yes.
because of the perceived of this. But let me give you guys a tangible, real life example of this. And
Mhm.
Toy, beyond the shadow of a doubt, I know for a fact it's because of my wardrobe. The
Yeah.
first time that I was on the Today Show was for International Women's History Month. They
Mm.
had women from all over the country and they dedicated half of their show, the third hour specifically, to International Women's History Month. I wore yellow. I wore a yellow jumpsuit. Girl,
Mm.
I'm just gonna go ahead and tap myself on the back. I was looking delicious. Can I just say this? I had this platinum blonde hair, this yellow. I mean, it was cute. I get on the screen before we start to go live. It's me and a screen full of other women. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Some of the ladies on that screen played it safe.
Yes.
Safe is wearing black because you've
Yeah.
been told for years it's slimming.
Right.
Not with these HD cameras. Stop it.
Right.
Or they wore a suit, whatever, right? The soon as I popped up on the screen, the producer says to me, "Oh my gosh, Rashonda, is that, am I saying your name right?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. It's Rashonda." She said, "You look amazing. Oh my gosh,
Mm.
I can't stop looking at you." Then someone
Yeah.
else from production was like, "I was just gonna say the same thing. We love your
Yeah.
yellow." Then
Yes.
the other ladies on the camera start talking about my yellow. You
Yeah.
guys, I kept getting, like, the Today Show does these screen bumps. I
Mhm.
was throughout the entire morning, I was always on the screen.
Love it.
In fact, the producer said, "You guys, you'll always know you're on the screen because Rashonda from South Carolina, I'm seeing her yellow." The director of the show always made sure I was in a shot. Why? Because it was bright and it was inviting.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
that's
and
how I was able to get their attention. First of all,
yeah.
it made me stand out on the screen among the sea of everyone
Mhm.
else. And then number two, it was just kind of like it pops on the screen. You guys
Yeah.
need to play more with color. Okay, there's my
Oh,
soapbox moment.
absolutely. No, I love that. And I think that, anytime you are not, and when you talk about visibility being power and being, live and online and in video, color is key
Correct.
because so many people are afraid of color, but, and we won't go into it today, but there's also like a power strategy from when you need to turn something way up and when you need to turn it way down. So there's a psychological thing that happens. Again, you have to play to your audience, and that is what I hear you saying, is that you
Hmm.
play perfectly into that audience. If you have a television background, you know what happens and how the visuals dance when you're wearing color.
Yes.
And so that was brilliant. Now there comes a time where black is okay,
Yes.
because again, well, I won't tell that story, but yes, I was like, oh, I got a good one. But there's a time when it's appropriate. And what the
Right.
example that I like to use with color is that if you are working for a children's foundation, let's say it's children, and you're raising money for children, the children's hospital,
Correct.
that's when you want to wear like that cornflower, like light blue, because blue is about trust, right? If you're pitching a product and you're trying to get somebody on your side, then maybe you want to wear orange that day because that is really about creativity and things like that. And
Yes.
so it's knowing when to wear those colors. We already talked about what yellow represented, and then you just walked in there and completely shut it all the way down, because that, my friend, is what is called a well-dressed brand. There it is.
I love it. I got a star of approval from Toi Sweeney. My day is made. I think it's amazing how you talked about knowing when to wear those colors, because I have been in situations like that as well. When I've worked with my stylist, she will ask me, okay, what's the audience? Who are the people? And you guys, I also learned this from a former coach who specializes in sales. She would tell me when she's pitching her sales offer, she would wear a crisp white suit, and she would wear a hint of black. It was a whole psychology behind it. This is why you have to get Toy's book. But here's the thing that's really cool. If you are coming to the Visibility is Power content creation tour kicking off in Houston, Texas in December, where we're going to teach CEOs, founders, speakers, coaches, and consultants how to finally create the content, the video content they have been avoiding. Toi is one of our sponsors, and she's giving a copy of her book, The Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand, to those who are coming to the event. This is amazing. I mean, you have your own personal stylist. For those of you who may say, "Oh my gosh, I can't afford it." I mean, you have all of the credentials and everything in this book. So again, that's a perk of being a guest of ours. We have Toy's book and a bunch of other great swag bag items to give you as well. But I'm really excited to partner with Toy to have her give a copy of her book to everyone who's going to be in attendance. So again, you want to find out about that, check out visibilityispower.com, visibilityispower.com to get all of the details. Toi, I want to ask you one other question about the secrets of a well-dressed brand. And I'm sure you go through this in your book, but I want to talk about this. What is the number one thing when it comes to us building a personal brand with our wardrobe that people are doing wrong and are underestimating?
Oh gosh.
Just one thing. I know you could probably give a list, but one thing.
No, I think that just, one of the things that in the book, I use the fascination advantage. So I'm a fascination advantage coach. And so
Mhm.
the fascination advantage is all about being different, because everyone says that they want to be different, but we are conditioned to learn to want to fit in. And so I think that that is probably the one thing that if you say to anybody, well, do you want to be different? Everyone would say yes. And when it comes to putting where the rubber meets the road, they really are like, no, to your point, I'm just going to put on black, or I'm just going to do this, because they really want to be safe. And so inside the book, there is a assessment test called the Fascination Advantage, which is all about how the world sees you so that you can capitalize on what you're doing already, because you have to unlearn boring. You really, really do. Different is better than being better. Because I look at Rashonda, I don't know right away if she's better, but I know that she's different, because different is better than being better. And that comes from Sally Hogshead, who is the founder of How the World Sees You. But different is better than better. So I think that learning that concept is the one thing that people fail to really see because they just want to fit in.
Facebook user said it best. Wow. Unlearn boring, Toy? Is that how you're just gonna come in here and just drop that on us? Unlearn boring.
Yeah, and that's all part of the fascination advantage. Again, that was created by Sally. Those are Sally's words, but that is what we were taught as coaches, is how to come in and teach you how to unlearn boring. I had a client who's in the C-suite the other day, and she was recommending me to a friend of hers, and she said, the way that she was able to gently push me out of my comfort zone, was incredible, because you don't even realize it until someone comes along and says, hey, you always look this way. Let's look that way, but add this. So it's just a little tweak. It's just a little different. It's not boring.
Amazing. I love this conversation. Toy, we got to have you back again. This is so awesome. I'm so glad that I get to call you friend and have you a part of my community as well. Tell people about the book and then how they can get their copy if they decide, for whatever reason, not to come to the Visibility is Power Content Creation Tour. Tell them how they can get your book.
I don't know why they wouldn't go to the tour. But so it's Secrets of a Well-Dressed Brand, the art and science of increasing your perceived value. And so you can get this anywhere books are sold. You can jump on over to Amazon right now and get it. It'll get to you quickly. At this point, it has already sold out. It's already been an Amazon bestseller in 3 different categories.
Yay!
And people are buying 2 and buying 1 for a friend, which I just found out the other day. So I'm really grateful to you all who decide to do that. Thank you.
So awesome. And Toy, where do you like to hang out on social? How can they get more content from you?
I'm Toi Sweeney everywhere. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram mostly. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm so easy to find. It's not even funny.
I love it. So before I let you go, I want to ask you one fun question, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay. One fun question. What is your favorite fashion staple? What's the one thing that Toy has just got to have?
Oh, you are killing me with that one. Okay, so I'm not normal.
Oh, because we're unlearning boring, so that's okay.
Yeah. So I have fashion moments. So I'll be into something for like a moment, and then I'll move past it. So my staples are obvious. You can scroll through like my Instagram and you'll see there's always a red lip. There's always red nails, head's always shaved. I may change the design, blah, blah, blah. So right now I'm having a moment with feathers. Like, I love textures with my clients. I don't do color as much as let's also add in some texture.
Yes.
So color and textures. I'm having this moment. And so when you look on Amazon in my profile, there's feathers. In my book, I'm wearing a jacket dress that has feathers. There's so many things with feathers in all of my carts right now. I'm just having a moment.
Where did the feathers thing come from, friend?
I don't know. It just all of a sudden, like, I also love critters. Like, this is not a critter, but I have like an alligator ring on.
Okay.
I had on like an owl brooch. Like, I like really weird things. And so those are like my secrets that give me like little tiny bits of joy that only I know I love because they're so weird. And so I was like, jungle, crocodile.
I love it. Now I know what to get you for Christmas, unless you change by then.
No, critters always, like, I carried a fat little bird clutch to my sister's wedding, but right now I'm having a moment with feathers. All the celebrities have been wearing them as well, I'm seeing. So
well, you're right on trend as you usually are. Toy, any last parting words to our people that you want them to know?
No, lean into who you are and dress accordingly. Dress the way that you want to be addressed.
I love it. Dress how you want to be addressed. My stylist said that to me, and she reminds me that constantly. We have a running joke in my household. I think you all will find this really funny as we end this conversation today with Toy. I always ask my husband, because as you guys can tell, I'm a little over the top, right? And I always ask my husband, I was like, is this too much? Because, I'm the person that's going to buy the suit in the entire pattern. So if it's like, my daughter likes to call it curtain pattern, the curtain jacket, I'm going to get the curtain pants to match. I'm going to do the whole thing. And so I always ask him, especially getting dressed for church, I'm like, is this too much? Um, should I tone it down? And he says, are you kidding me? You're too much. And I said, you're right. Let me add more accessories. So go and be too much. Go and be too much. Listen, someone's asking a question here. Dress.
Yes.
Oh, they're saying dress the way you want to be addressed. Powerful analogy. Yes. Go forth and be too much. I am a firm believer that when people say that you're being too much, Toy, maybe they're not being enough of
They're
themselves.
not being enough. I know that we need to go. Can I just give one actual
Go ahead.
style tip?
Yes.
Because I know that there's somebody out there that's looking at you and looking at all my pattern and all the things, and like I would never wear feathers, I'd never wear crocodile work, like I wouldn't, So if you're that person and you're just like, well, I want to lean into this, but I can't be too much, right? So just here's a rule that I've learned. I have a lot of friends that are actual celebrity stylists, and one I learned from a stylist called her name's Jen Raid, and she said everything can't be something. So pick the one thing that's going to be something and let that be it. So using Rashonda's example, if you buy the full pattern suit and you're not one that's going to wear it together like her or I would do, then do monochromatic underneath, because that makes you long and lean, and then put the jacket on, and then the jacket is the thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or
yes.
where you're all black, but then maybe throw on a multicolored earring, a multicolored shoe or sneaker, and then have the handbag. So then your accessories become the thing.
Yes.
Because everything can't be something.
Be the thing. Correct. Let me tell you something. I love a monochromatic. Listen.
I live for it.
I love a monochromatic. I love an A-line.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, monochromatic, especially in the fall, Jesus, be
Come
still.
on.
I love it.
So good. It never goes out of style.
Never.
So good. It's so easy.
Yes.
And again, going back to that well-dressed, closet being, branded, if you are like, I don't know what color, start with your neutrals, and then you can pop color accessories on. Like if you don't buy anything else for the season, if you're like, my budget is limited, then spend your money on your accessories, dress in monochromatic, and then put on your power with your accessories.
So good. So basically we need to have you back, right? And basically we might need to look at how we need to bring you on tour with us at one of our stops.
Listen, I'm there. You just tell me when.
I love it. I just did that live. She didn't know I was going to say that. So listen, we got to look at how to do that. You guys, this has been so good, and I know that you guys had such major takeaways. The replay is still going to be up, so go ahead and check it out. Make sure to tag other people. Make sure to connect to Visibility is Power TV on YouTube. Make sure to give us a follow there. Go and get Toy's book. Connect with her on social media. Everything that we talked about today and then some is in the book. So basically, you have your own stylist in book form.
Yeah, right here.
Like seriously. I mean, it's amazing. So make sure that you tap in. You guys, this has been great to have this lunchtime with you guys. Toy, as always, I love you, girl. I love your brain. I love how you think. And I love how you have taken all of your knowledge and your wealth of wisdom and have put it in this book to share with the world. You're amazing, friend.
Thank you.
You guys, remember, your visibility is power. You deserve to be seen, heard, and paid. And as we learned today, when we put on our clothes as a well-dressed brand, we're putting on our power. God bless you guys. Have a great day.